you've got game. I know you got game. You know you got game. Your teammates know you have game. You love to compete. You've already mastered your crossover. You've mastered your ability to shoot. You know all the sets. Everything is set up for you to be successful. And yet, game after game, you're still not optimizing who you are. You haven't found that ability to compete at a high level on a consistent basis. What is missing? Well, chances are, if you're an athlete, if you're a parent of an athlete, or you're coaching athletes right now, you have seen an athlete have all the physical prowess in the world and still be missing that all important critical step of mental toughness. My name is Rick Williams, better known as Coach Rick, and in today's video, we are going to talk about that subject together. And I'm going to make sure by the end of this video, give me a few minutes of your time, you are going to walk away with some practical tips on how to master your own mental toughness. The great Yogi Bear said it best: 90% of the game is mental. The other half is physical. For those of you guys who don't know who Yogi Bear is, one of the most outstanding athletes of his generation and known for his sort of quirky quotes. The game is mostly mental. Not just the game of basketball or the game of soccer or football or baseball, whatever sport you love. Not just that game, but this entire thing. You've heard it said before, life is a game. Well, the game of life is mostly mental. And those of us who have mastered the conversations that happen in our own mind are the ones who are optimizing who we are. It's such an important skill for you to learn. If you're on a way to a game right now, or you're in the midst of your career, this video is going to be a great thing for you to listen to, not just once, but as many times as you need to get these practical tips that I'm going to teach you today woven into just your everyday. Like, who are you? So I'm going to give you some things that you can listen to today, but most importantly, I want you to implement these things into your everyday life. It's going to help you master your mental toughness. As always, I like to break this down into 3 talking points. Keep it nice and concise for you guys. The number one thing that you need to do in order to master mental toughness is to be present. Wherever you are, be there. The most simple way to say this is be grounded. When you hear somebody say, oh, he's a very grounded individual, they're talking about someone whose 2 feet are literally on the ground and they know where they are at all times. And wherever they are, that's where they're putting 100% of their concentration. So that's the step. That's the most important thing to do. But you're saying, okay, coach, I hear you, but how do I do that? I want to be present during the games, but I always find myself being distracted. I can certainly relate to that. I'll tell you guys a story really quick. When I was a sophomore in college, we went on a road game to one of our rivals within the CCAC. I was having a pretty good season to that point. I was a starter. I was playing pretty well, averaging about 15 points a game. Things were going well for me physically. I was coming into my own after a freshman year in which I didn't play very much. So it's sophomore year, early in the season, we're going on a road trip. And for some reason, I was triggered by the fact that one of my teammates had his father present during the game. So those of you who don't know my story, I grew up playing my entire basketball career basically as a way to fill the void of my father not being around. I loved playing the game, but ultimately something was missing every time I played because I'd always look in the stands and wish that my dad was there watching it. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but if you can, stick around because this video is going to be powerful for you, right? But for me, I'm willing to admit to you guys, when I was 19, 20 years old, even that at that point in my career, it still mattered to me that my father was not in the stands to watch me play. So I tried to block that out most games, but this particular game, when I saw one of my teammates embrace his dad in a loving hug before the game, and his dad said, hey, good luck, go get him, I just got instantaneously depressed. I was sad. I was in my own feelings. I was distracted. Suddenly the basketball game and what I needed to do physically was not where my mental space was. I was going back in time thinking about all the times in which how much I missed my dad. I thought about where is he? What could he be doing right now? I thought about how lucky my teammate is and how he's taking it for granted. My brain was in everything except for basketball. To my teammate's credit or to his discredit, depending on how you want to look at it, he noticed it. The same teammate who was embracing his dad came to give me a high five like we would normally do before a game. And I was not receptive to that high five. I was very cold. And so what happened was my teammate went to my coach and said, hey, something's wrong with Rick. He's usually in a pretty good mood before the game. I went to just give him a high five and he denied my high five. He was very cold. Something's wrong with Rick. So my coach brought me to the side. He said, hey, Rick, what's going on? I love this coach. All right. The coach that I was talking about at that time, we had a great relationship, but even him, I could not get myself to admit what was going on. So I did what a lot of athletes do when they've got a distraction in their mind, and I want you coaches to keep mind of this. I said, nothing, I'm fine. And I put my eyes down, I lost eye contact with him, and I said, I'm fine. When I lost eye contact with him, to my coach's credit or discredit, however you want to look at it, he said, you know what? If you're not going to give your teammates a high five and you're not going to look me in the eye when I check on you, I'll tell you what, you're not going to start today's game. So now As I'm sure you guys can imagine, I'm pretty frustrated. I'm a starter, I want to play, but I listened to my coach. He sat me the bench. So I watched most of that first half, and that did not send me into this super engaged moment with my teammates. What do you think I did on that bench at 19 years old? If you guess sulk, you win. That's exactly what I did. I went to that bench, I put my head down, and I was into my feelings and into myself. It is very, very difficult to compete in a game, any sport, in which the opponent is looking for any sign of weakness. And what we all do when we're not mentally engaged in the game is we make that process very easy for our opponent. We are presenting our own weakness. They don't even have to do the work. For all I know, the guy that was guarding me that day was also having a bad mental day. And I would never know because I didn't show up. Now, the way that story ends is I ended up playing in the second half and I was dismal. It's one of the worst games I've ever had in my career. I look back on it with a ton of shame, and it's something that I think about all the time. And like I always like to do, I like to use my experience to help you always get better. But now you're thinking, okay, Rick, tell me how. Number one thing you want to do to stay mentally grounded in the game is to use all 5 senses. God gave them to you for a reason, and now you're going to put them to work. I want you to think of it this way. Your mind is a house, beautiful house. It's a mansion. It's luxurious. It has everything that you need to relax. It has everything that you need to be comfortable. And it has 5 entryways. It has 5 beautiful doors to go into your mind and be there. And those are your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears, and your hands. All right, so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to use your eyes. Right now, when I'm doing a YouTube video, I'm very keen about looking at the camera. I want you guys to see me looking at you. Every now and then I'll, do one of these to check the room. But if I did the entire video like this, we would have a really hard time engaging. And there'd be a chance that I would not be engaged in the things that I'm saying. So your eyes are the window to the soul. And so when you are feeling a sense of like, oh my gosh, I'm mentally distracted, I literally want you to find someone and make eye contact. I want you to find your opponent and make eye contact with your opponent and don't look away. Let them know that you're here and you're here to compete. I want you to find a teammate and I want you to look at them and look for their body language. Watch and see how they're approaching their day. If you see them down and their shoulders slumped and they seem to be distracted, then you're going to notice it in them. It'll help you see it in yourself, and then you can go care about them and lift them up. So use your eyes. You're going to do the same thing with your ears. Listen. Most of us are playing a team sport. If you're playing a team sport, this is easy. There's going to be lots of people around you that have things to say. When they're saying them, listen, not to reply, but to understand. Repeat back what they say. Coach tells you to do something, and your natural response is to wave off or to say, I got this, or to defend yourself. You're doing it wrong, and you're going to make it a lot easier for you to be mentally distracted. Whenever your coach or your teammates say something to you, I want you to find a way to repeat what they said back to them. Hey, Johnny, I want you to box out. Coach, all right, I'll box out next possession. I got you. Instead of just saying, yes, coach, or okay, or no. Don't say no. You'll probably be sitting. But I want you to repeat what you heard because your ears are an entryway to your mind. Talking is my all-time favorite. I don't know what it is about athletes and talking that is so like oil and water. But the best athletes in the world are super talkative. They're going to let you know where they are on defense. They're going to let you know where you are offensively. They're going to let you know that they're proud of you when you do something good. And they're going to lift you up and encourage you when you're doing something bad. Be that teammate. That'll keep you out of getting into your mind in a negative space where you're distracted. You will use your voice to talk and let people know that you are here. That vocal person is mentally engaged. Now, here's one of my favorites. A coach told me once, best advice I've ever gotten. He said, Rick, make sure the first basket you take in every game, go to the basket. Make it a physical basket. Do not shoot a jump shot before you make physical contact with someone else. And at first I was like, yeah, but what if I'm open? Listen to what I'm saying. When you get the basketball, attack the rim, make physical contact, get a post entry, just hit something or be hit. Allow yourself to be woken up with that physicality. Don't get frustrated at the opponent. Thank the opponent. That's what you want. Wake me up. I was sleeping. I was distracted. You gave me a nice little check. Use that to keep yourself mentally engaged. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the sense of smell. We're going to use that to talk about the importance of taking a deep breath. Don't let that be too cheesy for you. If that is corny to you, you can't just do that. You're too cool to just delve into the science of the way human beings work. Then you cannot tell me that you truly want to optimize who you are as a human being. We are scientific creatures. We're complex. We're beautifully and wonderfully made. But at the end of the day, there's a certain way in which we operate. And one of those deep breaths where you inhale, it will ground you. It will make you present. Use your 5 senses. That is how you remain engaged and present, so that wherever you are, that's where you are. Speaking of being where you are here with me, and I appreciate you clicking on the video today. As you can see, we are just getting started in our YouTube journey, and it would mean a great deal to us if you guys would just take a second and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, go ahead and throw something in the comments, engage with us. You guys know by now how the YouTube algorithm works. The more you engage with us, the better our channel can be, and the more we can bring you guys some good information to help you out. Okay, point number 2 on how to have the ultimate mental toughness: radical accountability. I'm not talking about accountability in the way that you've always heard. I believe that to some extent, people have taught the concept of accountability the wrong way. In fact, there is a lack of accountability in the way that most people teach the word. What do I mean by that? I mean that a lot of people, coaches, teachers, adults, parents, people who are speaking into your life, have taught you that accountability means this: I'm going to tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, I'm going to hold you accountable to it. That's a fair definition of accountability, but I want to be very clear. That is not the type of accountability that I believe leads to practical mental toughness. The kind of accountability that I'm talking about is radical accountability. And it's completely different. In the word, radical means to change, to like just be outrageous and to flip a concept on its head. So here's what I want you to understand about the way AGB teaches radical accountability. What it means is you come up with your own process. You come up with the thing that you want to hold yourself accountable to. And you don't do it for me. You don't do it for mom and dad. You don't do it for your coach. You do it for you. The promises that you are able to keep and make to yourself are going to make a world of difference. I liken this to mental weight training. Nobody would look at me and tell me that they want to be physically strong without lifting any weight. You could talk about resistance bands, you could talk about Nautilus, you could talk about free weights, you could talk about any sort of technology, but I guarantee you that if you will put some physical restraint on your muscles and push through that restraint, that process will lead to strength, physical strength. So if that's how physical strength is built, why wouldn't mental strength be built the same way? We must put ourselves through the reps of making a promise to ourselves and then keeping that promise. That process builds unbreakable mental toughness. So here's how you do it. You've heard this one before. You have to set goals, and not just goals, but smart goals. You want to make them specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant, and you want to put a time period on them. Smart goals. Here's the thing that I want you to do with your smart goals. Start off by making them anything. You don't have to build the process of mental toughness for a basketball game strictly through basketball. You can say something like this: I'm going to make my bed every day by 8 a.m. I'm going to do that for 14 days in a row without fail. That would be a smart goal. And what you'll see start to happen with your own mental toughness is if you complete that goal 14 days in a row, bang, 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 you'll start to get the reps of trusting yourself, falling in love with who you are as an athlete. And the more you can do that in a very simple, benign, easy thing to do, like making your bed, the more it will translate when it's go time. You know, like I'm going to box out every possession. I'm going to talk on defense every possession. I'm going to be the first one in every sprint for the rest of my career. Those types of promises that you make to yourself, you will disappoint yourself if you're in the habit of doing. And so many people are approaching their life and their sport with that habit. They're so accustomed to letting themselves down that they just keep doing it. We're going to build the habits of coming to play for ourselves. And I can't stress this enough. This is not accountability in the way that the NCAA has wanted to hold people accountable for years, or in the way that, quite frankly, is driving a lot of coaches out of coaching right now. A lot of coaches right now are saying, I don't want to coach anymore because these kids are transferring left and right. There's something to that. It is frustrating sometimes to see that there's such a lack of accountability on the athlete side. And the minute they find any adversity at all, they're running out the door. But here's the thing that I want all of us coaches to hold ourselves accountable to. We've had decades of being able to talk to a particular athlete any way we want, and the rules protected us from that athlete leaving or transferring. And so this shift to a bit of an extreme might be good for all of us to realize that there is a process by which accountability is not about someone doing it because I told them to. You got to start teaching radical accountability where someone says, I'm doing this for me. But you got to be honest. If you aren't willing to make those promises with yourself, then you got to be honest about the fact that you're not really serious about achieving. These are the things I like to do in these videos. I think in every video, my goal is for you guys to feel cared for, to feel like, oh man, that guy relates to me. He understands what I'm going through as an athlete or as a coach or as a parent. But I also don't want you to ever click on a video which you see my face on a thumbnail and think, oh, he's not going to challenge the way I think. I'm absolutely going to challenge the way you think. It's why we're here. That's the process of getting better. So radical accountability. Now, the other thing that you can do other than making the promise to yourself is I want you to race towards the accountability. What do you mean by race towards the accountability? I want you to see accountability. Say it's at center court. It's a thing. Okay, it's an entity. Maybe put the basketball at center court, and the basketball is accountability. I don't want you to let anyone else in the gym, anyone else in your culture beat you to that ball, because whoever gets to the ball first wins. What do I mean? So let's say you're in a game and you're dribbling the basketball and your teammate's open and you pass the ball to your teammate and you pass it a little high. Like your elbow got away from you a little bit. It sailed on you. It goes a little high. And then your teammate doesn't jump for it though. He kind of looks at you like, hey bro, that was too high, and the ball goes out of bounds. The turnover's on you. Coach comes to you and says, hey, you gotta not throw that ball so high. There's a part of you, if you're honest, that wants to say, but coach, he didn't even jump for it. You're a little bit upset with the teammate, like, bruh, you just left me out there. If you do that and the teammate comes to the sideline and says, hey, my bad, I should have jumped for it. I don't know why I didn't jump for it. That's on me. Then I promise you the teammate got better that day. You didn't. We've got to race to the accountability. So when that turnover goes, you race to the coach and be like, hey coach, I threw that too high. That's on me, my fault. Next time it'll be low. And then the teammate tries to beat you to it. Like, no. Hey, I know it was a little high, but I should have jumped for it high. You find a team that does that constantly. And that's a team that in October is going to be one way. By the time they're playing in February and March, they're going to be almost unbeatable. So that's my tip for the day for you coaches. I want you to make sure you implement that into your programs. Take blame out of your culture. Don't let an athlete tell you that something went wrong because of someone else. When I was coaching high school basketball, that was something that we implemented. And every year, someone would start off in October being like, I hate this. I don't know what you're talking about. It was his fault. I don't know what you want me to tell you. But over time, by the time they get to be juniors and seniors, they start to understand how much mental training they were getting by being able to absorb accountability without folding. We have to talk about that. Why is an athlete inspired not to take accountability? Because it's heavy. It's no different than if I handed you a 200-pound weight and your max was 100, you would not want to take it. That is the way a lot of athletes and a lot of coaches are not seeing eye to eye. We're trying to put that weight of accountability on them because we said so, and they don't have the reps to lift it. So athletes, you got to go get those reps. And the way you get them is you race to accountability. Grab it as often as you can. Now, this part we understand is not easy to do. And I think everybody should have a mentor. Everybody should have someone that they trust, that they can go to in confidence and be guided through some of these more difficult mental training pieces that you need to optimize who you are. That's why AGB is here. If you want some help and some guidance and some mentorship to go through these things, you're like, okay, Coach Rick, I'm in. I want to have more mental toughness, but this stuff is hard for me to do on my own. Well, we're here to help you. AGB Mentality is a program that we've put together that we believe adds mental toughness to athletes, parents, and coaches. If you want to get involved, we're going to put a link down below. Click that button. I'm going to reach out to you myself. We'll have a conversation, see if it's a good fit for you. I'll tell you all about how we help you always get better. Okay, and my third and final tip for you guys is to master the missing link in your game. What's the missing link in your game? Knowing how to miss. A lot of people know how to make shots. We're heating up. We've made 5 shots in a row. We know what that feels like. Our confidence is through the roof. We're playing with a sense of swagger. We're playing better defense. We're coming alive. Sometimes we are waiting for the result of positivity to wake us up, to bring mental toughness to the game. But the most mentally tough players in the world do it in reverse. They use the senses. They do the radical accountability. They do everything that they got to do to bring the mental toughness, and so that they're prepared to miss. One of the most famous quotes by the greatest player to ever play is that you miss 100% of the shots that you do not take. I love that quote. I have it on my wall at work. Everyone knows that. Here's the thing. That quote, even as awesome as it is, still kind of tells you, hey, look, go ahead and take the shot because you might miss. And it's no big deal if you miss. I want you to take it one step further. You're gonna miss. I want you to love missing. Sometimes the best way to learn how to be successful is to fail. Just seek out failure. Chase it. Find it. And when you find it, grab hold of it and now open it up and see what it's all about. What's inside of here? Analyze it. Why did I fail? Was it my elbow? Was it my wrist? Was it the spread of my fingers? Was it my guide hand? Was it my eyes? Was it my legs? Why did I miss? And the more you can do that process, the better you become. Here's what you're going to do. You take a shot, you miss it to the right. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to take another shot, but the only thing I'm not going to do is miss it to the right. You're not even going to say, I definitely have to make it or else I'm going to feel bad. You're just like, I'm chasing misses, but I want to see if if I can manipulate this ball to miss completely left, right? So I miss way to the right, I miss way to the left. I'm super intentional about what I'm doing. And that intentionality kind of wakes my mind up to be connected to my body. And that will send you information that goes, oh, it's the one in the middle. One of my favorite players of all time, everybody knows, is Kobe Bryant. What is Kobe Bryant known for? He's second, third, fourth, whatever you want to put him, best player of all time. But he is the all-time leader in missed shots. And rest his soul, he's no longer here to answer this question for us. But those of you who have studied his interviews, you know he doesn't care. He is steel-eyed when it comes to the idea of missing and not being successful, because that's not what deters him. So I think we can all learn from him. And I want you guys to embrace the idea of the missing link in your game, maybe missing shots. One of the things we love to talk about at HEB is the fact that insecurity is normal. It happens to us all, like hunger or being tired or laughing at a joke. It just happens. It's part of the human experience to feel insecure at times. And what we all can acknowledge is that missing and failing and not doing well is a pretty good, pretty normal trigger for those insecurities, right? If I'm 0 for 8 and everyone on the team is making fun of me and coach is upset with me and I'm not getting as much playing time, I'm going to start to do one of 4 things. We talk about these things all the time. These are the 4 things that people do when they're feeling a little insecure. They respond to you by being defensive. They immediately want to tell you, hey, this is not on me, you're being mean to me. Number 2, they're cruel. If you're cruel to them, they're going to be cruel to you. Sometimes some people don't even wait to go second. They just hit you with cruelty first. When they're feeling insecure, they lash out and tell you something mean about you to sort of lift themselves out of that space. Number 3, they respond with arrogance. They want to brag. They want to tell you about how great they are. They want to tell you about what they've done in the past. They tend to gravitate towards themselves and being self-absorbed. And that's how they recover from their insecurity or protect themselves from their insecurity. And then the last one, which you can make the argument is the most dangerous one, is athletes or parents or coaches, all of us have this tendency to gravitate towards shame. When we're feeling insecure, we put our head down. We say, man, I'm not who I thought I was. My bubble's bursting. I can't compete at this level. I'm not enough. Those types of conversations are derailing you from the concept of mental toughness. They're derailing you from being your best self. And so we've got to learn how to understand our 4 walls of defense, see which one is you seem to bring in most often. But the key is not to avoid them altogether, but the key is to give them practice. One of the reasons why I consider myself a fairly mentally tough human being is because I've had a lot of practice. In the words of Langston Hughes, my life has been no crystal stair, which basically means I'm not born with a silver spoon. I've had to work and fight and scratch and claw for my place in life. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to that. But that process is something I want you to embrace because it makes you stronger. In the same way, that's how a sports journey can be. And I love mentioning this. The beauty of a sports journey is that it can simulate a difficult life without actually giving you one. Contrary to popular belief, not getting a lot of playing time is not real adversity. Not making the team is not life or death. Your success in life is not connected to your success on a court. That's a lie that you tell yourself that's also contributing to your lack of mental toughness. You can go ahead and disassociate those things, but here's what I want you to do. Use sport for what it is. Embrace the fact that it's an opportunity to kind of walk into a simulator, if you will, and practice life. Get used to adversity, get used to failure, get used to messing up and learning all the beauty that comes with that. That's the missing link in your game. Okay, so there you have it. Remember, the first thing you're going to want to do is to be where you are. Stay grounded, use all your senses, and that will help you with your mental toughness. The second thing you want to do is go ahead and embrace radical accountability. Go after it and want to say, I'm not doing this for my coach. I'm not doing this for my parent. I'm doing this for me. And then the last thing, embrace that missing link. Learn how to miss, love missing. Use it as a simulator for the game of life. That is going to make you mentally tough. Thank you for taking the time to engage in the video. Until the next time, always get better.